All right, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Christian, and today we're going to be talking about spiritual formation. Have you ever wondered how some people turn out to be so kind, generous, thoughtful, giving, and their life is so joyful, while other people end up being really stingy, mean, grumpy, angry, and irritable? I like to think that that is because they did not intentionally plan their life around who they are becoming. So I want to ask you the question: who are you becoming? Are you becoming someone who is kind, loving, generous, joyful, loving, and all of those things? Or are you becoming someone who is selfish, greedy, their life to revolve around them, and overall just a frustrating person to be around? Well, and we're going to talk about that in today's video. But first, if you are new to this channel, I would love it if you would like and subscribe and do all of those things, because that just is what makes the world a better place. Let's begin. All right, so I want to talk today about what the overarching thought of this channel and also what this video is going to be about, which really is spiritual formation. What the heck is spiritual formation? What does it mean to be formed spiritually? Well, everybody is formed spiritually some way, somehow, through something, okay? So everyone is formed into the image of something. And we like to think that we can just become our own individualistic self, but the reality is the only way to become who you truly are is through the person of Jesus. Robert Mulholland actually offers a fantastic definition of spiritual formation, and that is the process of being formed into the person of Christ for the sake of others. It's the process of being formed into the image of Christ for the sake of others. So, starting with the process. What is the process? Well, it's an ongoing, lifelong situation where you are being formed into the image of Christ. So that is through so many different things, and we're going to get into that a little bit later in this topic. But it's all about taking the intellectual knowledge that you have in your head about who God is, who you are, your worldview, what it means to be a human, and taking that from your head to your heart, so you can actually live into that and not just say you believe something, but actually do it as well, because all belief influences our behavior. So spiritual formation is really this process of getting things that are in our head into our heart through prayer. So we pray this into our life, and we ask God to transform us and to make us into the image of God. Next up, it's the process of being transformed into the image of Christ. So we become like Him. So we have a clear image of who we are supposed to become. We have a clear idea of who we are to be. We mess up when we don't know exactly who we want to become. And so in some seasons, we want to become like this person or like that. And we want to have these attributes. And some days when my feed is, giving me all sorts of different things, I want to become like this. I want to become like that. And personally, I would always find myself wanting to become something of like a minimalist, an influencer, whatever it is. You can find all sorts of different things, but then I would orient my life around becoming that type of person. But I believe with my whole heart that Jesus is the best person to become like. He is so full of love, so full of generosity, all of that stuff. He is the best person to want to become like. He is the highest aim for your life to be oriented around. So the process of becoming like Christ for the sake of others. So it's not just a narcissistic thing where you have an individualistic self and you can do all these things your own in your own strength. It's not about you. It's about being formed into the image of Christ for other people. So you can be, helpful. You can be loving, and you can be kind and generous. Your life doesn't revolve around you and what matters the most to you, but it's actually you help other people in their process, in their season of life. No matter where you're at, you can do this through generosity, giving with financially, with your time, your energy, your skills, learning different things so you can be a benefit to other people. And it can happen just by simply being present. You're not distracted all the time. You're not constantly on your phone. You're asking helpful questions. You're getting to know people around you, and you're being an overall benefit to the people in your life. All right, so how do we do this? How do we live a life that is designed to become like Jesus so you can be a help to others and not a burden? Well, it's through a thing called a rule of life. So we know who we are becoming because we develop a rule of life for us to live into. And here's the plot twist. You already have a rule of life. It's not something that you can ignore. You have a set of principles, habits, things that you do every day that are helping you become the person that you are today, and ultimately forming you into the person that you will be tomorrow and a year from now. If you keep doing the things that you're doing, you're going to end up being a certain type of person, for better or for worse. And so a Christian spiritual or a Christian rule of life is that we orient our lives around becoming a person like Christ. Stephen Covey has a really cool quote, and it's, "We achieve inner peace when our values align with our schedule." And I think that that's so important, that when we set out our week, our day, our month, our year, are you living your life? Is your schedule oriented around the values of who you want to become? Because we have to ask that question. Who are you becoming? So there's 4 spiritual practices that I want to talk about today that I think are going to help you live into this. So the first one is silence and solitude. Silence and solitude. This is taking daily practice of going to be by yourself, to get away with the Lord, to be quiet and still your inner soul, to still your mind, to focus on Him so that you can become like Him. So it's a daily practice. I have a couple quotes for you. So without silence, the word of God cannot bear fruit. That's from Henry Nouwen. So good. C.S. Lewis says we live in a world with constant noise, and that he describes the kingdom of darkness as a kingdom of noise. And lastly, silence is the royal road to spiritual formation. That is amazing. So silence and solitude is key. Jesus, when he started his ministry, knew his custom was to be alone and to be with God, to leave the crowd, to get filled up, to come back into the community. So that's a part of what we do. We leave the people for a moment, always come back. We don't leave to just forever to go away, but we come back. Next up is Sabbath. Sabbath is taking one 24-hour period of the week where we rest and we delight in God. And this helps us in 2 ways. One is we slow down, we rest, we enjoy what God has already given us. We step into the beauty and the glory of the world that we live in, and we find ourselves full of gratitude and thanksgiving. We eat really good meals and spend time with people that we love, read a book or go on a small walk, or we do a chore around the house or something like that, and we find ourselves being filled up in the presence of God just by simply not doing more, because it fights the culture of hustle. It fights the culture of I have to have more, I have to get more, I have to be more. And Sabbath is one of the great ways to fight that space. But the cool thing is Sabbath doesn't just, keep you loving that one day, but Sabbath actually changes the rest of the week. So the first part is Sabbath just helps you slow down and become more intentional with your time and your energy. But the second part is it changes the other 6 days that we work. So on Sabbath, we reflect on the past 6 days of what is it that God did through me? What did I accomplish? What are some of my failures? What are some of my successes? In the next 6 days, we can now start to thank God for what He's going to do through you. We can actually find pockets of rest through those days because we know that there's a day of rest coming, so we can work a little bit harder. And yeah, so that's Sabbath. Next up is simplicity. Simplicity, also known as like minimalism, slow living, frugal living, life with intentionality sort of thing. And I definitely see myself as a minimalist. But what's so cool is that this concept really is so strong in Christianity. And so, on this channel, I'm going to be talking a lot more about simplicity and a simple life and all that stuff. And that's because we want to be more conscious of what we have so we can be more content with what we already have, that we don't need more in order to be more. We can live a simple life. Our schedule doesn't have to be crazy. We can actually say no to the small things so we can live into the most important things. Greg McNowan, I think is his name, from Essentialism, says less but better. I love that. Less things, but the things that we do is much better, much more intentional, much more thoughtful, and we're not just trying to do a bunch of random stuff. Okay. Last one is slowing down. This is so important because hurry is the enemy. Okay, so Dallas Willard has this quote that says, "Hurry isn't of the devil, it is the devil." If the devil can get you to just be super busy, he can destroy your spiritual life. He can ruin your spiritual growth. He can ruin your spiritual disciplines, and he will ultimately ruin any relationship that you have, and he'll destroy your soul because you're so busy, you don't have time to reflect and to thank God for what you do have. Our greatest battle is that we need to hurry everywhere so we can do more. But the idea of slowing down, silence and solitude, Sabbath, is so that we have less things to do so that we can actually do the things that we do better. Okay, that's pretty much it. So that's the first half, but it's all about for the sake of others. So spiritual formation, to recap, is a process, ongoing, lifelong process of being formed into the image of Christ for the sake of others. And so in this video, that's what we talked about. I hope this was beneficial to you. If there's anything that you learned in this video, please drop it in the comments below. I have 3 book recommendations that have helped me in this journey. I think are very easy to read and stuff like that. So the first one is Henry Nouwen, Spiritual Formation. This book is so good. It's gold. It's just full of greatness. I've quoted it in this one. Please check it out. Highly recommend this book. The next one is Robert Mulholland's Invitation to a Journey. It's a fantastic read. It's super easy. This is where that definition actually comes from. He lays it out super good. And I actually took the practical applications from this book. It is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, which is a John Mark Comer book. These 3 books I would recommend to anyone starting in their spiritual formation. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for joining with me today. I hope you are blessed, and I hope you have a great day. See ya.